What is up, guys? It's your boy Rick Gakis, and today we are going to be showcasing all of the new exotic weapons and armor that I was able to get my hands on during a recent gameplay capture event. So massive thank you to Bungie for letting me participate, and this isn't every exotic in the Edge of Fate, but we've got 2 new exotic weapons and 3 new exotic armor pieces, and so let's go over them. Now, starting with the weapons, first of all, we have the 3rd iteration. This is a Void Scout Rifle with several unique perks. Intrinsically, it has Tri-Planar Mass Driver, fires a spread of Void energy projectiles, aiming down sights narrows the spread. Then it has Modified Heatsink. Battery slowly recharges over time when the weapon is stowed or not being fired, and then you can press reload to vent the core, greatly increasing the speed at which the battery recharges. Now, after that, the other unique trait is going to be Amalgamation Rounds. Aiming down sights for a short period without firing compresses the spread into a single high-density projectile. Damaging a target with the shot marks them. This weapon deals additional damage to marked targets, defeating a marked target or landing a precision final blow with an amalgamation round grants invisibility and true sight. So, you can see some gameplay right here, and some of you might have already picked up on the fact that this is inspired by the classic Predator franchise with that iconic rotating triangular laser. So, in terms of its effectiveness, if you take your time, as you can see in the background gameplay, you can pretty much always maintain invisibility and true sight, simply going from one precision shot to the next, and on normal difficulty content, it was more than capable of one-shotting pretty much everything you were coming across, even up to some of the yellow bars, it could still take them out. Now, in terms of that increase to damage, this is where things get kind of interesting, because I'm also going to be showing you gameplay from some higher level content. This is us fighting enemies 50 light above us. This was no cakewalk, and unironically, the 3rd iteration was our main form of DPS. Because you actually do shoot 3 projectiles per shot without aiming down sights, what happens is that if you do aim down sights, lock on, get that really powerful pinpoint shot and mark a target, you can then just start spamming, and it's boosting the damage of all 3 of those projectiles per shot. And so the result is significantly more damage than a normal scout rifle. We're talking damage that rivals heavy machine guns, certainly, but you have an infinite ammo primary weapon. Now, a big kind of asterisk here is simply that our loadouts were crazy. We were using brand new guns. I wasn't using super meta stuff, so take that with a grain of salt, but you can certainly do some decent damage with the 3rd iteration, and having access to almost constant true sight. Remember, it's not like you need to get the one-shot kill. You just need to mark the target and then finish him off with a bunch of other shots, and you will still go invisibility. That could actually be pretty darn good. And Void Invisibility Hunters kind of want a Void weapon anyways, so that's pretty awesome too. Now, moving on from there, guys, the other exotic weapon that we had access to was the Graviton Spike Arc Hand Cannon. And Stasis Hand Cannon. Yes, the intrinsic trait is Temporal Manipulation 4. You can hold reload to swap between fast-firing arc mode or slow-firing stasis mode. Final blows and precision hits overcharge the opposing mode to enable additional effects. Now, it also has some unique traits here. First of all, Temporal Anomaly. While overcharged, each mode expends a portion of overcharge for additional effects on final blows or precision hits. Arc mode calls down lightning strikes, stasis mode creates an explosion and a formation of stasis crystals. And then we also have Temporal Alignment Refit. Overcharging both arc and stasis modes grants a period of increased damage. So, also you may be able to tell, since we have a number in the intrinsic trait and we have a refit here, this is likely going to be a craftable exotic in the Edge of Fate. In fact, as I was editing this video, I realized I had a different version of this gun with a different refit, Transcendent Zen refit, where final blows grant bonus stats depending on the alignment. Light elements grant stability and handling, and dark elements grant range and aim assist. But that's a lot of text in terms of how it plays in-game. As you can see here, you begin with either the arc or stasis mode with no other effects. Then when you get enough kills with, let's say, the arc mode, it's going to overcharge the stasis mode. You're going to hold reload, switch it to the stasis mode, and then, because it's overcharged, you're going to be spreading out stasis crystals as you're getting precision shots. And then when you get enough precision shots or kills, it overcharges the arc mode. So you switch back to arc, and now you're causing essentially bolt charge lightning bolts. And then when you get enough kills or precision shots with that mode, it overcharges the stasis mode again. So you are constantly switching back and forth between arc mode and stasis mode, trying to use whatever mode is overcharged. Because when it is overcharged, this thing is crazy. Like, essentially every precision shot with the arc mode is calling a bolt charge lightning bolt. Like, it is crazy damage, crazy easy to get kills. The stasis mode is spreading out of those stasis crystals. It is incredibly effective at ad clearing, certainly. And then again, you're just swapping back and forth constantly. Not to mention, it also refills the mag by a few rounds every time you swap between those overcharged modes, so you can really keep the chain going. Now, the downside is that if you ever have to run away and heal or you disengage, the chain will stop and you have to start it up again, but when it is going, whew, it's going. Now, moving on from there, let's take a look at the new exotic armor pieces. Starting first with, of course, the best class, the Titan. So, we've got some new exotic gauntlets here. The Melas Panoplia. Now, the exotic perk is Forge Master. Collecting a Fire Sprite or Rapid Solar Final Blows makes you a Forge Master, allowing you to recall your throwing hammer. After impacting a target, recall your hammer at full intensity to perform a perfect recall, causing an explosion of forged slag. Perfect recalls and collecting Fire Sprites extend your time as Forge Master. So this is what you saw at the very beginning of the video. Yes, you can actually Thor's hammer back your throwing hammer as the Titan, and it is so cool. I mean, you're seeing in the background gameplay, it is just such an addicting play pattern, addicting gameplay loop, like getting those hammer kills, sucking it back. And I was playing not Prismatic, I was back on the original Solar subclass. Gaining access to those sunspots were incredibly useful because those will scorch targets, which will create a fire sprite if you have the right fragment. And fire sprites were definitely my main source of Forge Master. It actually was a bit difficult to get like a ton of rapid solar kills to start it. Rather, again, it was just going to collect that fire sprite. Now, in terms of its effectiveness, if you are running sunspots, man, it feels good. Like, it feels like you have infinite solar grenades because you are hucking your hammer across the map at a random shank, and then you're causing that sunspot. You're burning everything nearby, and then you're just redrawing it and chucking your hammer in another group of enemies and another group of enemies. Like, you are doing it constantly. You don't have to run right up to enemies and throw it, bounce it off their heads, and hope it comes right back to you. Instead, you are playing a lot more cautiously. You're playing however you want to play, just chucking them from afar. So really, really fun and effective in the lower level content. I did also try to use these in the higher level content, like the exotic scout rifle, but unlike the scout rifle that surprised me by its effectiveness, these fell off pretty hard. Like, I ran up to a random red bar knight, I bonked a hammer off his head, and it did like 1/10 of his health, and I was like, oh yeah, that's not good at all. So now that could just be I need to perfect my build. Obviously, I'm not in an environment to like get a perfect melee build right off the rip with random new gear, but yeah, as long as you are able to be killing enemies with these hammers, super fun, and again, pretty darn effective on that solar subclass, but it does fall off on higher level content. But moving on from there, guys, let's now talk about the new Warlock. They also have a new exotic gauntlet. This one is called the Yoya, and the exotic perk is Console's Pitch. Hellion projectiles deal increased damage the further they travel, eventually fracturing into scorching shrapnel. And you can see exactly that in the background gameplay. It's going to start raining down different little balls of fire all over that initial impact area. Now, interestingly, you may notice that some of those like scorching shrapnel projectiles actually kind of home onto targets. They curve to hit the target, and others just kind of fall normally. But man, it really turns your Hellion into just like an artillery barrage at a certain area. And even before it's fracturing, like it's going to just get more damage over a normal Hellion. Now, in terms of the effectiveness in game, well, if you like Hellion and you want to make your Hellion better, it's very effective. But where is that good? Like, are you going to use this over a speaker's site or whatever else you might be running? Well, probably not. Honestly, for general gameplay, it just seemed kind of neat. But where this may actually see some decent play is just for a self DPS increase on the Warlock. If you're doing solo content, if you're doing something where every bit of damage matters and your job as the Warlock is really just to put the well and that's kind of all you need to do, well then you can throw this on and get significantly more damage, because remember, scorching projectiles, it's not just more Hellion damage, it's more ignitions as well, and those deal a ton of damage. In fact, I was able to go to the firing range, as you can see, and actually test the damage difference. So you can see right here, I don't have the exotic gauntlets on, I have Ember of Ashes on for more scorch damage, and in the total duration of my normal Hellion, I do 4,698 damage with 238 DPS there at the top. And then after putting the new exotic gauntlets on and keeping Ember of Ashes on and moving a little bit further away from this target, as you can see right here, we're now doing 5,876 damage with 300 DPS, and that is a 25% increase in overall damage. By the way, those damage numbers might seem small. That's because light is being brought down in the Edge of Fate, so the damage numbers are a lot less inflated. So again, a decent increase to your overall DPS output if you're looking for that on the Warlock. But guys, it's time to move on from there to the Hunter. They are getting a new exotic chest piece here called the Moira. Now, the exotic perk is Web Catcher. Threaded Spike can bounce to tangles, detonating them and returning immediately. Tangles detonated by Threaded Spike are rewoven and retrieved by it. Catches without a tangle refund extra melee energy. So, essentially what it does is what you see right here in this clip of gameplay. I chuck my Threaded Spike at a tangle and it will cause it to activate. Now, for me, I was absolutely running the normal Strand subclass and using the Whirling Maelstrom aspect, which will cause those tangle tornadoes when you destroy them. It is insane with Whirling Maelstrom because, again, you will hit it, it will detonate, and then you will get that Whirling Maelstrom activation. If you don't have this, you'll just get an explosion. But then after that detonation, if you catch your Threaded Spike when it comes back to you, you'll just start carrying a tangle because it will detonate and retrieve. So then you can throw another tangle and then you have two Whirling Maelstroms going at once, as you can see. So if you want to activate Whirling Maelstrom, this is crazy for that because it's essentially going to turn every tangle you make, as long as you have a Threaded Spike, into two of them. And it also gives you some more utility. So you can throw your Threaded Spike at a tangle, you get that detonation, explosion, or Whirling Maelstrom, you get that ad clearing potential, but then you just start carrying one. And then this one you could maybe throw and, oh, I don't know, grappling hook onto it. So it just lets you do more things because you have more tangles, right? So if you really enjoy playing with tangles, especially if you do like Whirling Maelstrom, this was pretty darn cool. Now, the downside is that you do have to do everything right. Like, you have to have a way to make a tangle, you have to have your threaded spike up, and then you have to hit that tangle with your threaded spike. If, let's say, you're not able to make a tangle, or you miss, like you hit an ad, it bounces a weird way or something like that, or you're not hitting catches and so you're losing melee energy, like you'll have to like wait for one part of the combo. So you might have your threaded spike, but you don't have any grappling hooks to get that grapple melee and make another tangle, so you're kind of waiting for that. Like, that is the downside of using this exotic armor, but when things do go right, man, you can have some crazy amount of fun with tangles. But guys, this is just one of many new Edge of Fate videos I have going out. We have another one that's going to showcase a bunch of different legendary weapons coming with the Edge of Fate, showcasing how the tier system works, tier 5 weapons, tier 5 armor, and so much more crazy stuff. So make sure to subscribe, and definitely make sure to hit that notification bell so YouTube actually tells you about these new videos. That is going to be it for the video. Hope you enjoyed and found this informative. If you did, please remember to help me out by simply rating and especially sharing this video. If you guys want to see more Destiny 2 content similar to this, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. If you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter at RickKakis, that is linked in the description down below. Again, I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good day.